Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the MilsimUnits.com podcast. I'm your host, C. Brock, and with me tonight we have Captain Lewis, the unit commander from the 6th Airborne Division. That is UK. Captain Lewis, welcome to the show.
Cheers for having me.
Absolutely. It's great to have you here. You've been part of the community here from the early days, and I'm happy to get into a UK or British-based Milsim unit that is active and doing some great stuff in the community. So, with that, we'll get right into the line of questions I have for you. So, I'm curious to your own personal start. You know, as a unit commander, as a longtime Milsimmer, what inspired you to get into Milsim, and tell me about the rationale behind forming up the 6th Airborne Division.
Well, the sixth started, I think it was 2009. So it was his 15th year anniversary last year. So it was already well established before I even joined. But I used to play King of the Hill on Arma 3 with a friend of mine back in the day. And then he ended up getting married, having kids, and he never stopped coming on to play games. So at that time, I still wanted to play Arma, but didn't really have anyone to play with. And did a quick Google, see what's around, and sixth kind of just stood out to me. So I threw in an application. This was about 2016, and and just went from there. There's something about Milsim, the community, the work, the working together. It's not just a bunch of randoms running around on King of the Hill or Team Deathmatch. There's the organisation, the planning. It's not something you just find randomly jumping onto a server.
Absolutely, yeah. I think you nailed it for a lot of us out here in the Milsim community. So you weren't there quite at the start, but you've been part of the six for most of its lifetime as a clan, as an Arma 3 unit, as it were. What can you tell us about the formation of the unit? And how has it developed since your time being a part of it?
Well, as I said, I wasn't really here when it first started, but I know a bit of the story. Started by S. Bates. Don't know if you've seen him. I know he's on YouTube. But he's like an impressionist these days. Don't know if you've seen him.
It sounds kind of familiar, but I'm not. I'm a little fuzzy.
Yeah, but he's the one who actually started it, and I think originally they started on Day of Defeat.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. Then over time moved over to Arma 2, and then eventually, I think they moved to Rising Storm. They went to Rising Storm for a bit. I think that was very short-lived because it just didn't quite do what they needed, and moved. Then they went back to Arma 2, and then eventually to Arma 3. And it was not long after that when I showed up. So I don't really know too much about the early days other than like the overall gist of what happened.
Well, sure. Well, I mean, either way, I mean, you kind of painted a background that's more or less typical. It's very similar to a lot of other established units that have been active for years, decades even, where they utilize the best platforms they can to bring out immersive elements, realism elements, and when a title or a platform's time is come and gone, it's they're ready to move on and adapt to the next and upcoming situation. So that leads perfectly to my next question here for you. I'm curious about how the six structures its ops nowadays, and how do you guys make your operations stand out from other units out there?
I'd say the way it's structured is fairly typical compared to other British milsims. I've not really worked with too many Americans, like American milsim units. So I can't really compare the differences there. But compared to some of the other British milsims, where it's fairly similar, we're currently at just over platoon strength. Then we also have added detachments like our dedicated flight assets, fire support, our medical regiment. Again, it's all fairly similar to other British units. But I think the way we stand out the most is pretty much, well, jump out of planes. To put it bluntly, a lot of other British Milsims, they focus more on the armor or mounted warfare, but we just love getting in a plane and jumping out of it and hoping that you don't break your legs on landing.
Good shit. That's where the fun's at, seriously. But yeah, it's all about that landing. Now that makes me wonder. I mean, shit, you've been there just about 15 years now. I should say about almost 10 of those 15 years, 15, 16 years since the Sixth got its start. What's the most memorable operation or event that you've participated in? What really stands out in your mind?
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of hard to narrow it down to one specific event. There's been so many good just events, whether that be operations or joint ops. But I'd say the one that really sticks with me is Operation Sea Dragon, a campaign that we had. It was actually the first campaign I had as a platoon commander. The first time I was in charge. It was just balls to the wall, like from start to finish. Like the guys who were creating the campaign, they decided, this time we're just going to take the gloves off. We're just full on, all out warfare. Like no coin elements, no guerrilla to deal with, just straight up combat. And oh my god, I got so many grey hairs from it. But a brilliant campaign.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, you got a lot of, fun with those action-packed campaigns and ops, but when you take on that responsibility, man, the pressure's on, and people are looking to you. You're looking to yourself to make sure that they get the maximum out of that experience. So yeah, I can sympathize with your pain, but there's something to be said about a mission accomplished. So I bet that was the adrenaline, the fight or flight moments aside, a good and really productive memory. So, tell us about the culture and the camaraderie within 6th Airborne. I mean, what's it like there? Tell us, for somebody who's just coming in or they're thinking about signing up, what can they expect once they get into the line with the guys?
Well, outside of the game, you get out of it pretty much what you put into it. You've got some lads who, like myself, you're on TeamSpeak pretty much most evenings, if not every evening, just chilling, chatting, playing some games, just hanging out. But then you've got other lads who they'll turn up to ops, they'll have fun, and they'll say, "Cool, I'll see you next op," and that's it. You don't see them in between. But it's really you get out of it what you put into it. Really, if you want somewhere to just go and chill and just chat shit with people, there's always going to be someone on. Like, I can guarantee you can turn up at 4 a.m. after having a pint in town, and I guarantee you there's going to be someone sat there playing a game. There's always someone there to talk to. But then it's very relaxed as well. Everyone's just chill. But then once we get to op, it's game face on. Like that's where you switch on, get the job done, and no messing about. I mean, obviously, you have a laugh.
Sure.
There's there's no purposely fucking about,
Yeah.
Sorry, I just realised. Can I swear on this?
Yeah, absolutely. Have at it, man.
All right, sounds.
No, I come from a Milsim infantry background. There's nothing you can say here that I haven't heard before, and it's all good for our audience as well. So have at it. But yeah, good shit. Definitely. I mean, you got to have a good time. I mean, that's like I've said to many others. Just talking with my friends, my buddies, just people in the community. That's what it's all about. There's different levels of realism and immersion. Like I was talking about earlier. But at the end of the day, it's a game, and despite our different perspectives and our expectations, if we're not having a good time, man, it doesn't pan out. So.
Exactly.
You mentioned you got a variety of people. Some who are like, they're all in, 100% engaged in the community, and others who are you're doing it as time permits, as work permits, family life, and all that. So you got options for people. But let me ask. I mean, you mentioned your memorable, your Arma 3 PTSD moment as a platoon commander, leading that particular mission. But what about the funny or unexpected side? You mentioned a joke cracking out. I know how infantry life can be. Can you tell us about a funny or unexpected moment that occurred, in a training event or an operation for that matter?
Yeah, I can give you. I could give you a whole list, to be honest. Um, there's one in particular that I remember where we'd not long added the F-35s to our mod pack. So the pilots just, they'd had a couple of ops where they're flying about with them, getting used to them, doing their training, and it was the first time that they actually used them in live. And we called in some CAS, and the pilot doing it because we were on, what was the map? Pakistan, I think it was. Um, yeah, I'm sure it was Pakistan, and we were stood on a ridge overlooking at this valley, and we're calling CAS down below, and then he comes swooping in, completely fucks his turn, and goes straight into the side of the valley, just like literally like nose first into it, and fucked it. It was hilarious. Then another pilot, when we called in Cass again, he was like, "Oh, watch this." Saying to Ancona, he was telling him like, "You fucked that one up. Watch this. I'll show you how it's done." Proceeds to do the exact same thing, uh, straight into the side of the valley.
Yeah, well, something to be said about realism in that regard. I mean, that's that shit happens in real life. Bombers, jets, they fly in the mountains. It's a fog
Yeah.
of war.
It happens. It does happen. It is known to happen. It was just what made it brilliant was he was bigging himself up as well. Like, oh, I've got
Yep.
this. I'll show
Yep.
you how it's done. Fuck
The old
me, I'll
hand.
show you. And then straight into the valley. It was you couldn't have timed it better. Um, There's another one, not my proudest moment, but it's been a long-standing problem for me in Arma where TeamSpeak and TFAR just doesn't like me for some reason. Um, we've never been able to find what the problem is, but sometimes when I'm trying to talk on net, it just nothing transmits. It happens regularly enough that it's become unit meme now. Like, oh yeah, Lewis didn't transmit, and needless to say, it can get frustrating at times. But then there's one point I tried to send a message over on the net like 3 or 4 times and it just didn't transmit. And it was an urgent message as well. It was like, needed to get across, and no one could hear me talking. And it's like the 4th or 5th time I sent it. And one of the lads was walking past, and I know him well. He's a good lad, but he just turns around and goes, "Lewis, you didn't transmit." And I was getting ready to like rage, and but then I got a reply, so I clearly had transmitted. But yeah, he was just pulling my leg, and yeah, I kind of mag dumped him. But it'd been months and months of like stress and building, and then he just does that. I'm like, "Oh, you fucking cunt."
Yeah, wrong
It was,
place,
it
wrong
was,
time.
yeah, it was all banned. Luckily, it was yeah, he's a good sport about it.
Yeah, that's important. You got to maintain that rank and responsibility very carefully. But I mean, seriously though, TFAR it's buggy. I think everybody who's used it has had a problem, and I've seen some major f ups, during operations. So it's the thing about a game. It's 11 years old. The mods are great, but everything has its limitations. So either way, it sounds like you guys make the most of what you got, and again, you keep that level of detail up while maintaining and having a good time, no matter what comes down the road. So, I was going to say 10 years, unit commander, in a large, long-standing unit that runs these platoon level ops with combined operations or combined armed operation elements. Can you tell us about some of the challenges you faced, running the 6th Airborne, and how did you actually overcome them in the field?
Do you mean as in like actually in-game challenges now we've faced?
Well, I mean, you've talked about communications. I guess that's one to start off with. But any challenges, with issues like recruiting, retention, administration, the technical side of Arma, running a server or running multiple ops with other units. It's like what's really been something that you've had to work to overcome, and you look back and you're like, yeah, that was we needed to get that done.
I'd say the biggest one was we had it's about 3 4 years ago now was it? Yeah, it's about 3 or 4 years ago. Operation Stanislaus. We got about 3 days into the campaign, and we were about an hour into the op, and the server just shut itself, just absolutely did.
Yep.
And we couldn't figure out why. Like the logs were saying it was fine, but there shouldn't have been anything wrong. 1 minute it's fine, next minute it's dead. We're like, all right, okay, just quickly relaunch. We'll. It's a bit shit, but we'll just TP everyone back to where we originally were, and we'll just continue off from where we left off. So you don't really want to have to restart the whole thing after an hour, do you? So you just crack on. But then it happened again. So we thought, all right, maybe it is just a one-off. Maybe we'll look into it. By next op, hopefully we'll have it all sorted. And well, we didn't end up having it sorted. We thought we'd fixed it, but it came back the next op, and then it happened again the op after that, and then it happened again the op after that. It got to the point where we couldn't guarantee that we could do an op that evening because you just didn't know how long the server was going to last for, whether it was going to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour. Like, it was absolutely dying, and we had no idea what was going on. We even we even changed our server provider, thinking maybe it was something on their end, because we tried everything on ours, and it still wasn't happening. So we made the decision of, right, we're just going to completely gut the mod pack, literally have just the bare minimum that we need, which is Chinook to fly us in, a weapon to fire, an armor. Nothing else, just literally the bare minimum. And then slowly, bit by bit, start adding the mods back in. We got through it in the end, eventually sort of sorted itself out, because to this day, none of us could tell you what the problem is. And we've got people in REME, which is our, in British Army, it's the Royal Electrical Mechanical Engineering. They're our techs, basically. They in the 6th, they deal with all server, anything server side, TeamSpeak, Discord, all the mods. And so testing and trialing mods. They do all the technical aspect of things. And we got some lads in there who are like top of their careers. They in that field, and they were just as stumped as everyone else. We just never, to this day, we've still never figured out what the problem was, but it seemed to have disappeared. But one good thing about all that happening, was essentially us gutting the mod pack, because we went back to basics and then slowly built ourselves back up with the mods again. That it showed us that we don't need this massive amount of mods. That you've got like 2 gigs of mods of a mod that you might only use once every couple of months. You know what I mean? Things like are very niche, and it showed us that we don't really need that. So we'll just it really toned down our mod pack. So that was a surprising positive of the issue. But yeah, the damage is done at that point, because we'd not long expanded the unit to 2 platoons. So that's when I ended up becoming captain, because then I was the company commander in charge of both platoons and detachments. Because in the past, with only 1 platoon and a couple of detachments, there's no point having a company element, because there was no one really to organise. But then, because of all these problems, we ended up having a lot of people left, and I don't blame them. Like, really want to stick around in a Milsim if you don't know there's actually going to be an event that evening, So I don't really blame them. No hard feelings. So we ended up folding back into 1 platoon, but we decided that we'd stay as me and the company element, because having everyone who'd already moved up and done the training and put time and effort in to learn the new role, it'd be a bit of a kick in the teeth. We told them, right, go on, fuck off. I'm coming back now.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, you adapted, overcame that obstacle, did what you had to do. But I mean, that's frustrating. I mean, I guess maybe you're not pulling your hair out because you got a high and tight being airborne. But in all seriousness, when the server goes down, man, people's confidence, their morale drops as well. I've been there. I think just about everybody who's serious about Arma has experienced, because it's the game is it's so prone to any manner of crashing, and that's the thing, knowing what it is, where it came from, how to fix it, man. that can lead to some hard hours, through the day and night, in administration, overcoming it. But yeah, so you took a hit due to that, but overcame it, like I said. What about recruitment and retention in the unit today? I mean, how do you reach out? How do you look for potential members, and how do you keep them engaged once they've enlisted to make sure that they're good to go in the missions ahead?
So we have what we call non-combat groups. And we have about five of them now. One of them I mentioned earlier, Remy, the one to deal with all the technical aspects. We have another one
Yep.
called BAT, the British Army Recruitment Team, and what they do. All these are volunteers as well. They volunteer their free time to help the unit move forward, and just helping the unit how they can. And I've got to give them props. Fair play to them. It's you can't force someone to give up their free time. It's all volunteer work, so respect to them. But to BART, what they do is their job is to go on, like the Reddits, or different Reddit threads, Discord, and like post recruitment ads there, in all these different places to get our name out there. But then they'll also do all the videos, all the trailers, any photos. They anything that would help bring people's focus onto us and be like, hey, these look interesting. That's all them. They do all of them, and I have to admit, like, I don't mean to brag, but some of the videos that they've made for our unit are fucking top tier shit. Like, I've seen some other people's videos, and like, don't get me wrong, yeah, they're all good, but you can't beat a McFly trailer. Like, you just can't. But yeah, so
Yes.
essentially, like they'll just go on the Reddits and Reddit threads, Discord, but not just that. But then they're always sort of on the clock as well. So one of them, Miguel, he's brought a couple of lads to the 6th just by playing with Forger, jumping on the server, and just playing the game and just chatting with people and being like, hey, actually, well, I'm part of a unit. Like, do you want to come along and see what it's like? Just always on the clock. Fair play to them.
Yeah, that's no joke. I've seen some of your units' operations, on YouTube. Your media is outstanding, and I'll make sure we get links to all your social media. We'll get links to, that channel, so everybody that in the audience, that is, they can take a look firsthand and get in touch with you to learn more about the Sixth and what you guys got going. So, yeah, you guys been at it for a long time. You talked about the good, the bad, the funny, overcoming challenges. What do you think has evolved the most? In other words, what has changed the most in your time here? Your decade in the Sixth. What lessons have you learned along the way from those changes?
I think the thing that's changed the most that I've noticed is the attitude, really. Because when I first joined, it was all very rigid. It was all but yes, no, yes sir, no sir. You know what I mean? It was everything like super, super strict. Everything had to be, you either do it this way, you don't do it at all, and you get it slightly, you do something slightly wrong, and someone just goes off on you. And for some people, that's what you want, isn't it? I enjoyed it at the time, but then as you get a bit older, you realize like not everyone wants to, not everyone wants that. You want it to be a bit more relaxed. And I think that's the biggest change I've noticed is that, yes, we still have our procedures, we still have things, rules and that in place, but we're a lot more lenient with things. We're a lot more just chilled. You won't find anyone having a go at someone because they didn't, fucking, they didn't bang a salute. They saw the big game. You won't find any of that with us. That's the biggest change, and I think honestly that's one of the key things that why people have stuck around as well, because we don't take ourselves too seriously. We get the job done, we have fun, we do it. We take it serious, we have fun, but we don't take ourselves too serious either. I think that's the biggest change I've noticed over the years.
Sure. Yeah, I can appreciate that. And yeah, coming from a Milsim background as well, I've seen that change take place in a number of units, mostly to good effect. So it is a balance. Like I said, you got that realism, that immersion, that, that kind of intensity, but you got to have fun. So yeah, sounds
You
like
hit
you
the
guys
nail
have.
on you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said, at the end of the day, it is a game. Right?
Right. Yep.
It is a game. Like you can't expect someone to turn up to an operation for 3 hours on a Thursday evening and then they literally sit on one hill on stag position, just staring at a tree line, not actually moving or firing. It's I've done that in real life. I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
you
And
know,
if somebody's yelling at you, yeah, game over. They're not going to put up with that shit. So,
someone starts shouting at you like, "Why are you watching your arc?" You're like, "I've been watching it for 3 hours. There's fuck all happening." In a bit.
yep, infantry life, man. That's how it is. Hurry up and wait. But yeah, I mean, that really is. It's a good lesson, and it's good to share with the rest of the community, particularly those guys who are, thinking about starting up a unit, or they're kind of navigating their way in the development of their own. I mean, these long-standing, very active, units like yours, they're the ones who set the example for the rest of the community. So it is good to learn from you and from our other guests and patrons as well, so that we can improve and make this a better experience for everybody involved. But yeah, I mean, we were talking earlier, or you were talking at the beginning there about the development of 6th Airborne and your operational kind of structure and outlook. Can you tell us about your interaction with the broader Milsim community? The other units out there, in Arma 3 in particular. How do you guys get along in game and then kind of offline in the back channels?
Well, we've done a fair few. Well, in the past 2 years, we've probably done more joint ops and joint operations with other Milsim units than we have in the rest of my time here. Like, just for the past few years, I don't know why, but we just had a drive to do more with other people. I think variety is the spice of life at the end of the day, and there's only so many times you can jump out of a plane before you're like, I wonder what it's like arriving on a boat. um, but we last year we did a couple of events with. Have you heard of the website Unit Commander?
Sure. Yep.
Well, yeah. So Flinty, the guy who owns it, so he's run a couple of events. We've attended both of them, and it's got a mix of everyone there. It's got people from all sorts of different units. We had, there's one or two American units there. There was us. There's another British unit. I believe they were an armored unit. There was a Polish unit there. I can tell you that was or only one of them could speak English. And when I was commander, it was really awkward when he was the one who went down trying to get any information.
Yep.
But it was a good challenge. They were good lads. There was a couple of lads from Starsim there as well. Yeah, just a little bit of everyone from the Arma 3 community, and I think there was like just shy of 100 people each time. And I get on with Flinty really well. Like, he's just a sound guy in general, and everyone who went to it just loved it. It was different, working with different people and seeing how people operate differently. Yet all of it's still the same as well. It's little, all the little changes don't detract from the fact that what you're doing when you distill it down, it is functionally the same. We also, not long ago, we did a couple of ops with the 3CB, 3rd Commander Brigade. They're quite big in the British Milsim community because, well, you're not going to run a British Milsim without having the 3CB mod. It's what gives most people a uniform and armor and weapons.
Yep.
So we've done a couple of joint ops with them recently as well, and that was really enlightening, actually. Just the way we learned a couple of valuable lessons from that, just with the way that they set their missions and the way they paced their missions was so completely different to ours. And we were like, actually, it's not a bad idea. Why don't we try something similar, and see how it goes? So we learned a good couple of lessons from them. Fair play to them, good lads.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time, and I got to say, I mean, obviously the UK, the British military is part of, NATO command, the NATO force structure globally, particularly in Europe, of course. But joint ops are the way of the future. I mean, the U.S., UK, all of NATO in particular have been doing one op after another around the world, really. So, in a way, you're following suit with that realistic element, just getting to know other operators and figuring out, what you guys have in common, which is, yeah, it is a lot. Infantry is, I mean, or just war is war, but also, what you have, in difference and how you can leverage that to get the job done. So, sounds like a good time to me. Now, what about the future? Looking forward to 2026, where do you see the 6th Airborne, this time next year?
Well, my general answer to this is always going to be the same. Whenever anyone asks me the question, is I want a second platoon. I don't, I don't care about anything else. I want a second platoon. Just we're bigger. We can do more. Ops more. They'll be more interesting and more, bit more varied as well. We have a second platoon. The amount of times we've actually managed to get a second platoon, but then we've had to fold it back in due to one reason or another, like it's mentioned earlier with the server issues we were having.
Right.
But that's always going to be my main goal. But it is funny you should mention it as well, because tomorrow is our first official. Excuse me. Our first official op on Arma Reforger as well. We're not moving over to it fully because I mean, while it is new and it's good and it's interesting, it doesn't have the amount of like the content as
Yep.
Arma 3 does,
Got it. Yeah.
But when you think it is the future of Arma, Arma 4 is like I told the lads the other day, like Arma 4 is going to be more like Reforger than it's going to be like Arma 3,
I think so.
And one day, eventually, we probably will move over to Arma 4. So for the next 8 weeks, Sundays are going to be on Reforger, just to sort of give it a trial, see how it goes, what works, what doesn't work, but mostly to learn how to use the Infusion workbench because it's going to be fairly similar in 4, and I'd rather we start building that knowledge base now, so that in the future, in 2027, 2028, we already have that knowledge base, so that we can push forward, rather than being frantically trying to figure it out as we go and then just lag it behind. But it's just going to be 8 weeks, see how it goes, then throw out a feedback form, get the lads in for a chat. Like, what did you think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What worked? What didn't work? If they want to keep on doing it, we'll keep on doing it. If they say, it was all right, it was nice, it was a nice break, but want to get back to Arma 3 full time, then cool, I'm happy with that too. But unless you try these new things, you don't know how it's going to work, do you?
No, I think you nailed it. With Reforger, I mean, yeah, Infusion is the future of Arma. There's a lot to learn. Obviously, Bohemia's been publishing its videos from its modder workshop. I think they just posted their 7th video earlier this week. So there's a lot of material out there to catch up with. But you're right. It's not quite there yet. I think by the time Arma 4 is published, it's going to take over with the existing mod sets, mod packs, and other, kind of supplementary material out there, and it's going to explode. So you're getting ahead of the curve and preparing for, the future of the Armorverse right there. So I can definitely respect that 100%. So you guys are, like I said, yeah. I mean, you're on the ball here. What do you want to see? If there's an innovation or a change that you think that, whether it's, coming up in Arma 4 or something else in Milsim, in the greater community, or that experience that we're all looking for here, what kind of innovations would you want to see?
That's a difficult one to answer because in Arma 3 especially, if you can think of it, I guarantee you there's something along those lines in the Steam Workshop. Um, Oh God, yeah, that's a good one. That is a real good one. I don't know. How about this? What innovations would you like to see?
Well, I mean, for me, I love combined arms operations. I love playing infantry, but I've been a Zeus, I've been a mission editor, so I understand how important it is, particularly aviation, ground transportation. Even elements like IDF, whether it's mortars or artillery fire. I love being able to kind of keep all of those elements like synchronized and engaged like towards a common enemy. But that being said, what I see, and this is coming from watching VBS4 from Bohemia Interactive Simulations. What I want to see, and what I have seen on their end, is larger scale ops where they have battalion plus sized engagements. Whole companies supporting and maneuvering with one another against enemy companies and positions. So I want to see larger scale. That's the thing. Having 100 people on an Arma 3 server, that is gold, man. That is a hell of a time. I mean, the information over the sensory overload is almost incredible when you really have a good mission. But if we could like pump that up and get like 400, because we've seen games out there with 400 players on it, and yeah, there's a lot to be said about making that work. But if we could have like true combined arms operations where we got like 5, 6, 10 units like battling on a server, that would blow my mind. So that's what I hope for in the future, whether it's 2 years down the road or another 5 or 10. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, completely. I 100% agree with you on that one. That's part of the reason why we've been doing more of a push for more joint ops, because bigger is better usually.
Yep.
You're not going to get that kind of operations without more players. So joint ops is the way to go currently. But adding on to that, I think the biggest innovation I think would go quite hand in hand to that would be improvements to AI as well, because Arma 3 AI, even when you get some mods involved, they're kind of samey. It's fairly stale.
Yep.
I do like some of the improvements they've done to AI in Reforger. In some ways, they're better. In other ways, they are a lot more stupid. But I think that would be what I'd like to see: bigger improvements to the AI, like to the point where you're playing and you think you're actually going up against another player. Because then you can have those bigger ops, but then it just feels better when you're fighting an enemy who's actually smart.
Yep. Yep. No, and you're not the only one. I think, I think we can all agree on just about all those points that we just discussed here. So we'll see what the devs can do. What the modders are up to challenging themselves to accomplish. But I have high hopes. So we'll see what comes, and hopefully our influence, our feedback, for better or worse, will influence and shape the development of not only the Armor kind of platforms, but also the community in general. So yeah, see what happens. Future's wide open.
It is. But there are some cracking mods out there though for like AI mods. Some of them are really game changing, but then there's only so much you can do when you're working with the base AI, isn't there?
Exactly. Yeah. It's shown its age. I mean, it is a great product, but the mod. If it weren't for the mods, it would be very dull. Even with Zeus and some of the great content from the DLCs. There's only so much you can do vanilla. But hopefully Infusion will be with these new workshops coming out, it'll be the next big thing in modding, and we'll be able to kind of utilize people's work today, for years to come in the community. Now, we talked about leading your unit, through the ups and downs, joint ops, combined arms, just offering the best experience you can to your players here. Let's say that we got somebody listening who's thinking about starting their unit. Like I mentioned earlier, if there's one piece of advice, one valuable tidbit of information that you could offer them. I'm offering you, or I'm asking you to offer some advice to your potential competition here. But humor the new guys out here who are just getting started in this, and they got those big wide open visions, imaginations. What would you tell them, getting started in Milsim?
I think the best thing to be is don't set anything in stone. Be fluid with your decisions, not just in op, but overall as well for the units, because you might, in your head, you might have a idea and a goal that you want to hit, and this is how I'm going to hit this goal. There is no deviations. I'm going to do this, then that, until I reach there. But while that might make it structured, it'll be a very structured approach, but you won't have any room for error. There's always going to be something that occurs, whether that be server issues, or a couple of the lads in the unit, they might not see eye to eye, and you need to play be a bit of a mediator. There's always going to be something that crops up. So never make your plans solid, like set in stone. Always let it be fluid, because well, as everyone knows, the plan's all well and good until the first arrow flies.
Yeah, you got that right. That's solid. Great advice. I think anybody, whether you're getting started or you've been leading a unit for a decade now, and I think anybody could learn a lot from that statement there. So good shit. Now, going more into your kind of like personal insights here. We talked about memorable operations, the different scale and scopes that you've accomplished in the sixth over the years. Let's say that, and I'm trying to imagine the tracers flying, in your descriptions of combat in the unit. But I'll have to watch a lot more of the videos when I got time. But let's say that you're going to design the ultimate operation or combat mission. In your mind's eye, what would that look like for the unit?
Oh, all right, buckle in. So it would involve multiple different units all coming together as one. And ideally, it would be those who have specialized in other aspects of warfare. So you'd have like the 3CP, for example, Commando Brigade, naval insertions, amphibious warfare. So that they'd be there. You'd have an armored unit, a mechanized, motorized. You'd have a bit of everyone there. So that way, a bit of everything gets done. So it would be a multi-day over a couple of 2 to 3 days, and every unit sort of gets a part of the plan that is essentially for them. Like let's say it started on a Friday at 7 o'clock in the evening. Me and my boys we'd deploy out straight off behind enemy lines and just start hitting their rear ranks and start causing havoc for them, while 3CP would then, or whoever, whichever amphibious unit would then insert over the sea, and then you'd have the armored units all coming in to sort of actually push the front line. Every unit would have their chance to shine in a certain situation, but it'd just feel so grand. It'll be a lot grander because there's just so many different aspects and so much in play.
Absolutely. No, that sounds like a lot of fun. Seriously, doing the combined arms, doing those large scale, realistic scale operations. It is golden. That's the thing. We joke and we meme about the game and about crashes and just all the technical issues that you got to get over in Arma 3. But when it comes together, man, it is something special, and it's really hard to duplicate that on any other title out there at this point, anyway. So definitely, I hear you, man, and I'd want to see some of that action as well. But that makes me wonder here. Let's say somebody's just listening to the podcast. It's the first time they've heard about the sixth. They just clicked on the link to the YouTube channel. What's something from your operations that you would want them to see? I mean, what would you showcase from your unit's gameplay?
It'd be the guys in the sections, the guys on the ground. Actually, the tip of the spear. The whole unit we're an infantry-based unit. The whole unit revolves around the infantry, the lads on the ground kicking indoors, and that is what our unit is about. Yeah, we've got the gimmick of we jump out of a plane. We've got pilots that people can go to as well, but all of it revolves around the infantry. That is the whole point. So if someone had a plethora of sixth streamers, and they were like, "Oh, which one do I watch?" I would say, go for the lad on the ground. Go for that private with a rifle who's about to boot in that door, because that is where you're going to see like what the unit's about. Plus then you'll end up hearing all their shit talk on the net and all the banter, because that's really where the community shines. Just the guys, and ladies, But that is where the unit shines. Just those on the ground.
Great stuff. That's what it's all about. At the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, it really is all about your people. So, great advice there, and something to look forward to in your unit. And I would hope for any other unit out there, at least the ones that want to be successful by that means. What about traditions or rituals? I mean, the unit's got a lot of time. Time in Arma, time even before in the early days, the prehistory. What kind of traditions and rituals are unique to the Sixth? And what can you share with us anyway?
There's one that started fairly recently, actually, only in the past year or two. As we're British, we like a drink. It's it's hand in hand with the culture. So recently, what started happening is when someone cracks open a can, you hear it over their mic. Like if everyone's in the Chinook, we're inserting or exfilling. They crack open a can and you hear it on their mic. Everyone just goes today. I don't know. I don't even know who started it, but it's just happened in the past few years. Now it's become unit law now. It just is. It is. It's now just pure Sixth, that is.
That's hilarious. Hey, it's a natural response. What can you expect of hardened men jumping into combat? I mean, they're going to say what comes to mind. So, that sounds like a lot of fun, actually. That's a great tradition, really. Yeah, I appreciate that in units, particularly when it is like something that's organic, something that is like kind of homegrown. Because Airborne, they've got a lot of traditions. British, for that matter, because they've been jumping just as long as the U.S. Actually, maybe a little bit longer, if I remember correctly. But that is hilarious. Now, we get to the big question of the evening here, because this is the one that I ask everybody. A lot of guys are waiting to hear it because we got a lot of good responses, a lot of good talk about this topic here. But let's say that the Sixth is, on film. It's on the silver screen. It's got the spotlight on it. Is there a particular military movie, a TV show, or miniseries, any kind of media that you think best captures the spirit of your unit?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people are expecting me to say A Bridge Too Far, but I think that's a bit too on the nose. The rest of the lads in the unit might disagree with me on this one, but have you ever heard of the show Bluestone Fort 2?
I have not. No.
It is. It was on BBC about 10 years ago now, and it followed a group of EOD. It followed a section of EOD out in Afghanistan, and it was a comedy, but it was also serious at the same time. It was all just bants and jokes, but then when there was a shout on, just instant switch, like dead serious, crack on. It was a really good show, actually. Do you remember the guy who played Neville Longbottom in Harry Potter? He ended up he was in the second season, and I remember that was the first time seeing him since he was in Harry Potter. I remember thinking, fucking hell, I'm married, I'm straight, but you grew up, boy.
Yeah, fair enough. It has been a while too, but no, you got me curious now, so I'm going to look that up. Because obviously we get a lot of BBC material online everywhere nowadays, streaming and on the internet on our devices. So I'll have to look that up because I was thinking, A Bridge Too Far probably would be the obvious answer if you wanted to do it totally like textbook, or I don't know, how stereotype if you want to look at it that way. But that movie was one place, one time, a long time ago, and it sounds like you guys are. You've adapted and you've developed, with the culture, with just the way you operate, alongside of the actualities of real life, and that's how it should be in Milsim, I guess. So That's pretty cool. But you said Bluestone 2-4?
Bluestone 4-2.
4-2, got it. All right, make a little notation here. I'll
Yeah, if you've
check it
got some
out.
time on the week. If you've got some time, I'd definitely give it a watch.
Copy that. Well, definitely. I'm always curious because I want to know. It's like I can watch on YouTube, like I said, and I enjoy it. But like you also replied there. It's guys on the ground. It's those interactions that make Milsim what it is at its most basic and enjoyable level. So definitely, I'll check that out. Now, I want to, kind of. I don't want to say I don't want to take the spotlight. I mean, because this is about the 6th Airborne, about your leadership here, and what you want to share with the community. But we are curious. We've been wondering lately. How are we in Milsim units operating from your eyes, from our patrons' perspectives? What have we done that's helped your unit since you became a member of the platform? And what do you think we could do better for you and for anyone else out there in the community?
Well, when I first joined the community, because Flash was going around, messaging unit commanders, asking them like, "Hey, I'm starting this website. This is its goal. This is what we want it to do. Would you be interested?" And he messaged me. It was a month or two before it was going to be the 6th, 15th anniversary. And we'd been planning a World War II event, like a 2-day World War II event to celebrate it. Something completely different from what we usually do. And we'd sent the invite out to all past members of the 6th as well. It's like, you don't have to be currently in the unit to join. The unit wouldn't be here where it is now without you guys who were here before us, essentially, the ones who started it, the ones who kept it going, so it's all open to anyone who's been in the 6th before. We had quite a few people come along. We had one of the old unit heads, Alvarez, he showed up as well. But I told, speaking to Flash, and I told him about this, and he came along as well. Sounded like he enjoyed himself. He was I think he was in the same section as Leclerc, the Bohemia community manager.
Oh yeah, those two guys they roll together. They have a thing, so that makes a lot of sense. And I remember him talking about it now. I watched part of that stream. I had to think about it for a moment, but I remember that operation. Damn straight.
They were really like cracking events since that, because it went down so well. We've now got a thing so that every year, at least once a year, we'll do a 4-day campaign with a theme, like a historical theme to it. So
Yep.
it was only, I think it was about 3 weeks ago now. We just finished like an 80s themed one, like Britain in the 80s. So using the using the 762 rather than the SA-80, and
Right. Yeah.
rather than MCP, and none of our creature comforts that we've gotten used to.
Yep.
But that was one of the biggest things about the World War II event as well, is that because most people didn't have radios. I kind of felt bad for
Yep.
Flash and Claire, because at one point they were covering like the northern arc of this town, and give the order for everyone, right, we're moving off south to, we're going to RV here before we push off. No one ran up to tell them. So they were just sat there for 20 minutes staring at nothing, not realizing that they've basically been left alone in the town. But I digress anyway. But Flash, fair play to him after that. He was all over the Milsim unit socials, just posting, our 6th, 15th anniversary, they're doing this event, and just really getting our name out there. And he didn't have to either. We'd only just started talking to each other like a couple of weeks ago before that. And no, it's the thoughtfulness and the fact that he actually cared enough to, boost us. But I think that sort of rings true for Milsim units as a whole. Looking at the Discord now, it's just very wholesome. Everyone seems to just have each other's back and want to do more with each other. And I think that's the thing that I like about Milsim units mostly, is the community. Actually, it is a really nice community.
I appreciate that. I mean, that's our vision. That's what we hope for, because I mean, that's what we're all about. It's we do a lot of stuff. Life is busy, but at the end of the day, we want to get together and have a good time with like-minded individuals who are into the same kind of gameplay, and experiences that we are. So our door's always open. I mean, you obviously, you can open a support ticket if you need any kind of assistance, technical help. If you need some advice, we're here to work with you and really help you bring out the best of your unit and showcase it to other people out there that are looking for the same thing. So I appreciate the feedback, man. I remember that. Now I've got when I got so many vids to look at, man. But I want to go back and see them. Claire is a great guy. I've had the pleasure of hosting operations in Zeusing, where he's been there and he's rolling with Flash and his men. They really do a lot for the community because they love it. So we'll just keep supporting each other, bring out the best, overcome and conquer the worst. And we'll see what happens in the next 2, 3, 4 years and beyond. I'm definitely excited. So it's great working with you. Looking forward to seeing more from your outfit, and looking forward to seeing more joint ops at the same time. So I hope you have more coming down the road here. All right, so absolutely. Covered a lot of material here. Really got to explore the ins and outs of the 6th Airborne Division. Got to know you as a unit leader, as a Milsim player, as a member of the community here. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you wanted to go over? Is there anything that you want our people in the audience to know about your unit that they might not realize from what we've talked about so far?
Well, I can sit here and talk about the unit all night, about what it's like, but honestly, I think the best way, if someone is watching this and they're interested, just drop by. Our TeamSpeak address is in pretty much all of our YouTube videos. It's all over the Reddit threads. Same with the Discord as well. Just drop in, say hi. Even if you're just here to just come along, just have a bit of a chat, see what we're like, feel us out. No commitments. Just drop by. We're always welcoming and up just to have a chat with people. That's really all I can say, to be honest. Just come along, say hi.
Outstanding. All right. Well, definitely, people, take a look below at the links in the description here. Check out their social media. Get on their Discord. See what they're all about, man, because they're rocking and rolling. Been a great conversation with you, Captain Lewis. Really enjoyed this one. Got to learn a lot, as I always like to do, but hopefully at the same time our audience has learned just as much. So appreciate you having on the show here tonight.
No, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate the time and effort you put into getting this going. So no, thank you.
Sure thing. I appreciate that. All right, ladies and gents. So, been another podcast here. Been a busy week of recording, but it's because we got so many good people to talk to out there in the community. Got some more in the works here. We got a big show coming up a couple episodes from now, but I'll have more of that soon enough for you. Hope you enjoyed it tonight, everyone. You take care. Have a good one. Until next time, this is C. Brock signing off.